That makes sense.
My voice now. The idea was that from them, if there was,
All right, will you stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I will call this meeting this Tuesday, June 27th, 2023 meeting to order, Board of County Commissioner meeting to order at 8:30. Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Chair would make a motion to approve the consent agenda A through M.
Second.
Motion second. There's a little bit of further discussion here, just so we know. So it's when we've been going through, public asked if there was things on the agenda that maybe there was something that should be talked about. We should talk about it, and we agree that that is the correct way. So I would just K, line item K is the Yampa Valley Regional Airport Commission seat nomination letter. For the past few years, we have the city, Chris Nichols has taken that seat. Prior to Chris Nichols was Ray Beck that had that seat. And so today in the consent agenda, we are nominating Randy Looper from the city council to take that seat, and Chris Nichols would be the backup. That is for the regional airport in Hayden. And so just so everybody's clear on that, that's what the city wanted to keep going with that, and we were okay with it. They've been doing a good job. So, and then Melody wants to talk about M for a moment.
Yeah, I just want to add a couple of comments on M, which is the BLM Conservation Leasing Comment Letter. So we have an opportunity to provide comments on actions that the BLM is taking. And one of them is looking at adding conservation leases as a lease opportunity for the public to use BLM lands or to tie up BLM lands for non-use. There's several issues that we talked about at the land use board. One of them being that it's not an approved use within the government's own regulations for multiple use on the land. The ability for special interests to tie up a lease that would otherwise be a useful property. And then it doesn't imply the same range health standards that would be applied if you had a recreational or a grazing lease. And so a few concerns that we have on that. There's quite a bit of action on this with some land specialist attorneys, as well as a lot of the counties in Colorado saying that they really want to make sure that this is not something that moves forward. So we'll be
Yeah, it's
working on that.
an unfunded mandate is what they're trying to get you to do. And so most counties, I believe, besides maybe one or two, are writing a similar letter to what we're writing, saying, unless you fix, we're not against conservation lease. We do that. Moffett County's been doing that for years and years. But this one is in particular is going to hurt us more than it helps us. So.
And on a private land conservation easement,
It's
you
different.
have
Yep.
one entity making a business decision for that entity.
Right.
On a federal land, you have the potential to tie up a piece of federal land to one private interest for a very long time that doesn't have multiple use. So
Perfect point. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Motion carries. On to staff reports.
Public comment.
Oh, actually, public comments. Let's start with that. Let's go to that. Skip right over. Anybody have any public comment? If you do, please come to the front, state your name. Yeah, well, I was hoping. That's
That's why you had the door.
right.
My name is Dan Haskins. I was looking over the website to see what was on the agenda and stuff, and I couldn't find any information about planning commission agenda or the minutes of the planning meeting. And the April and May, or April and June minutes are missing. The ones that, I guess maybe they didn't have a meeting, I don't know. And then there's no information on workshops. Minutes or what the workshops were about or what happened at the workshops. And about it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Going one more time. Anybody else have a public comment? Okay, we'll move on to general discussion.
Just was gonna say on the planning and zoning, we can look into that, but on the workshops link, they're on the same page that has our monthly packet or our meeting packet. If you scroll down the page, there is a link to the workshops and it has a one page that has all of the dates and information for the workshops. Yeah. Yeah, it's
We'll look at the planning and zoning though.
Yeah.
Sure. Yep. Any other general discussion? Now to staff reports. Start with Mr. Todd Wheeler, Officer of Emergency Management. Couple items. Order terminating local disaster emergency and EMS licensing certificates. Good morning, Todd.
Good morning, commissioners. How goes it this morning?
Good.
So where would you like to start?
We'll go ahead and start, I think, ordering or the order of terminating local disaster emergency.
All right. I think we have went far enough with our disaster declaration. I believe the city council is also addressing this evening to pull out of this. Just because we pull out doesn't mean our work will not continue. Speaking of this road and bridge, I still have some work to complete for some of the county roads that the way Ms. Tyree typed this up, it still allows that to continue and for us to document that. But the day that the disaster ends would be today. And then we will continue to monitor. Our biggest time constraint now is going to be getting all of our cost documentation in, so we can now start submitting the full reports to the state. With the recent disasters that have occurred on the Front Range, there's still been no confirmed response from the governor as far as the disaster declaration, but he could still split that and give it to certain counties and not all counties. We're hoping that they push it to all counties throughout the state based on the severe weather we've had here recently. So I'm asking the commissioners to go ahead and declare the disaster over, and then we will start wrapping this up and complete the final documentation.
Motion to terminate the declaration of local disaster emergency. Severe damage. The property was flooded along the month.
second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion on terminating the local disaster emergency plan? All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Now EMS licensing certificate.
Okay. As our yearly requirement, or is your yearly requirement, we must license all ambulances that operate within our county here. We have 4 ambulances, or ambulance services that operate within the county: MRH, Maybell, EMS Reserve, and EMS Unlimited. Last year, between all agencies combined, we saw a total of 1,135 patients transported, which I didn't look at the previous year's numbers. But that's just kind of a basis. That does not include the Gold Cross out of Utah, as we have no data for them. And then we also showed almost 200 hours of community service that these ambulances have provided for events between Maybell, EMS Reserve, and MRH. So it just goes to show the need for the ambulances within this area. One thing to note that the lack of EMTs in this area is starting to affect the ambulance responses. We've had to rely more and more on EMS Unlimited, which operates out of Routt County, to help supplement some of those transports. So we're working on trying to get some classes together to get some more EMTs within this county. And as you all know, the state will be taking over the ambulance licensing next July 1st, but will actually allow the county to ambulance for 1 more year. So any licenses issued prior to July 1st will be valid for at least 1 more year. So our county won't really have to go into this new requirement until 2025. I'm asking that the commissioners approve the licenses for all 4 entities so they can continue operating within the county.
Mr. Chair, I would move to approve the EMS licensing certificates for EMS Unlimited, Maybell Ambulance, Memorial Regional Health EMS, Moffett County EMS Reserves.
Second. Motion in a second. Any further discussion?
Thanks for what you do.
Thank you. Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thanks, Todd.
Thank you very much.
Next on the agenda, we have Dan Miller, Road and Bridge Department, with his monthly report.
Morning.
Morning, Dan.
Our crusher, we've had the crusher shut down since last fall. The crew's been filling in for vacancies on the mag crew and the construction crew. Both crews have employees resign, and it's taking a while to find suitable replacements. We hope to start crushing after the 4th sometime, probably the week of the 17th. The truck crew has been hauling to various roads we needed gravel on before the mag crew could apply their product. The mag crew finished applying approximately 565 gallons of mag to 160 miles of county roads. Our water trucks hauled 2,176,500 gallons of water for the mag crew the month of May alone. The motor grader crew supported a second mag crew with water trucks and graders. We also got most of the non-mag roads bladed. We were also 1 person short on the grader crew at this point. The construction crew has been repairing the flood damage resulting from the high runoffs this spring. We're currently working on the culvert on County Road 178, and we still need to replace or repair culverts on 30 and 103. The landfill, they're shorthanded because 1 of the employees had surgery, but the remaining 3 employees are taking up most of the slack while he recovers. We had to fill in 4 days with various road and crew employees this last month. We're gonna build 2 more cells at the landfill this fall. We put the geo liner out to bid and we're waiting on specification approval from the engineers. Hopefully we'll be able to get that ordered. We do have a couple of budget issues that we need to address this fall. With the high snowfall we had this last winter, we're over budget on overtime for both the road maintenance crew and the shop supporting them. And we're also already at 68% of the annual budget for repair parts, or we should be at 50%. This can be attributed to the cost increase for parts more than frequency of breakdowns, I believe. We do our best to refurbish parts or buy used items rather than buy new parts, but supplies for used parts is limited. Our utilities are projected at 337% of the budget. Most of this is due to the, or some of it's due to the harsh winter, but the majority is due to the sharp rise in utility costs across the board. So as far as these overages, we're gonna address them with supplementals in December and hopefully it'll level out a bit before then. Don't get too excited yet.
Mhm.
Any questions?
Are you done, Megan?
As of yesterday, finished yesterday.
Finished yesterday. Any questions for?
Thanks.
Yeah, we'll have to address the budget issues, right?
Yeah.
I think everybody's in that boat. All right, next on the agenda is Department of Human Services, Kristen Grajeda, and Human Resource Department, Rachel Bauer. Going to discuss Resolution 2023-70, Department of Human Service and Youth Services on-call pay scale, and then also Department of Human Services personnel grade change. Hi, ladies. How are we? Good.
So yes, just as the resolution is stating, we're requesting a increase in the on-call rate for our on-call workers. Done some comparison with some of the other counties, trying to get an idea of what their rates are at. And I believe the last rate change that we had was maybe in 2018, so 5 years ago. And with this, I'm hoping that on call, while it will still be a burden and challenge, to be on call and handle those difficult situations, but a little bit more of an incentive given the increase of the hourly, or not hourly, the daily rate being offered of $50 a day, $75 for the weekend, and then $100 for holiday per day.
And the holiday's not a change.
The
Correct.
holiday is not a change. Previously, it was $20 a day for regular, 50, I believe, for the weekend, and 100 for the holiday. So the holiday did stay the same.
Yeah, I think it's important to realize that this is an 80-20 cost split. So, I mean, it's not the total
Correct.
budget that is going to affect you is not much, but
Yeah, 20% of the cost would be absorbed by the county, and then 80% is paid by the state through our state allocations.
and looking at other counties, we're way, way, way low. So trying to get those guys some incentives to actually want to work on a weekend. Nobody wants to
Yeah,
do
the
that.
challenges of being on call is, normally we carry 2 cell phones. Being on call, you carry 3 cell phones. Obviously, you're woke up any hour of the night, all throughout your weekend. Some calls you have to respond to. Every call requires a response within 15 minutes to the hotline. They do have to go out in the field. We have to respond within an hour or 90 minutes. And so it is challenging, and especially if you are younger or you have children or you have other hobbies and activities that you enjoy doing when you're not in the office working. And we are on call 24/7 as a department, so required.
Mr. Chair, I would move to approve Resolution 2023-70 for the on-call pay scale change.
No, this is for the Department of Human Services and Youth Services.
Yes. That's correct.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. Any further discussion on resolution 2023-70? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. And then now we're to the grade change.
Oh, sure. Okay. So requesting a grade change for our lead caseworker. Currently, our lead caseworker grade is a grade 9, which is the same as a caseworker 3. And the difference between caseworker 3 and a lead worker very, very significantly. A lead worker has additional duties and historically has been a higher paying position. I think it was possibly just an oversight with the recent salary structure that we had, that those were classified within the same. And so as we were struggling to fill some of our positions and hopefully encouraging maybe one of our lead worker 3s to promote to a lead worker or to bring somebody in at that lead worker position, having that separation of the pay changes and to better match the job descriptions that go with that is the request. So requesting that the lead worker be a grade 10.
You have anything, Rachel?
With this position too, I believe there could be vacancy savings since it hasn't been filled since December. That position has been open and posted. And with the increase of the change of the grade, there may need to be a supplemental that may need to be reviewed for that with a higher grade and pay scale on that too. I do think it's important for the separation too, just with the supervisor duties that the lead caseworker would have compared to over a caseworker 3 on there too, and just the type of position change of authority and responsibilities that the lead caseworker would have for final decision making, various matters and stuff like that. And then also for the guidance and training that they would give to caseworkers in that position too. So super important.
Mr. Chair, I would move to approve the Department of Human Services request for the personnel grade change for the lead caseworker. That would be from 9E to 10E on the salary table. Correct?
Yes.
Motion and second. Any further discussion on that?
Kristen, you might have said it. What's the breakdown on this as far as the state and the county's monies? Is it 80-20 or?
It could vary depending on the activities. So depending on what activity or role the person is doing. So if it's a sex abuse case, it could be 90-10 from the state or 100% or 80-20. So it just
Varies.
depends. Yeah, each activity that they do and case that they respond to can go under different. So
Thank you.
generally overall, most of the time, a majority of their time is the 80-20.
Thanks.
And it is almost a $7,500 grade change year deal. So it's, you know, just. Okay. Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Motion
Thank
carries.
you.
Thank you. That is the last on our agenda. We do have a special board meeting today at what time? At 2:30, and then
Public health.
in a public health meeting at 1:30. That are all open to the public. Then our next Board of County Commissioner meeting will be held Tuesday, July 11th, right here at 8:30.